Chapter 495. But my son is there. Gu Mingming frowned. Cole forced himself to sit up and said, I'll go on your behalf. Gu Mingming looked at the blood seeping out of his abdomen and said, You're already so injured, how can you go? Moreover, that's my son. There's no reason for you to take the risk for me. Cole did not loosen his grip on Gu Mingming's wrist, as if he was afraid that she would immediately run to the Snake King Valley. He frowned, but not because of his bleeding wound. I'm a 5th level beast. I'm already like this just by getting close to the borders of the Snake King Valley. What can you do even if you go? Gu Mingming said, I'm the messenger of the beast deity, maybe he will do me a favor? Cole shook his head and said, In the entire beast world, everyone is afraid of the title of messenger of the beast deity, except for him. Gu Mingming asked, Why? Cole said, He's the son of the previous messenger of the beast deity, and has lived for 1,000 years. Some people say that he has already transformed into a dragon and become a true god, an existence on par with the beast deity. Gu Mingming forced a smile and said, Since he's colleagues with my beast father, then as a junior, if I visit him, I should. Cole said, I can't let you take the risk. Believe me, I will definitely bring the other 3 little masters back. I will definitely. Gu Mingming supported Cole and said, Lie down first, don't be agitated. I'm not a rash person. Even if I have to save someone, I will make preparations before going. Hearing Gu Mingming's words, Cole finally relaxed a little and laid down slowly. He said, Give me some time. I will recover as soon as possible. Gu Mingming bit her lower lip and did not continue talking about going to the Snake King Valley. She just asked, How did you save Qi Xian? If you're not tired, can you tell me? Cole nodded and his voice was very weak, as if the struggle just now had exhausted too much of his energy. But he did not want to disappoint Gu Mingming, so he forced himself to say, In the beast world, 5th level beasts are as rare as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns. A male beast that has reached this level cannot be a nobody. Those few days, the 3 of us took turns to go out and visit these 5th level beasts one by one. In the end, I set my target on the Snake King Valley. Of course I didn't dare to offend Snake. My original target was a Group 5 Snake Beast Wabii in the Snake King Valley. But I had just reached the outskirts of the Snake King Valley when I met Ai Li and saw the little masters who were tied up by her. Gu Mingming frowned and asked, Alone? Cole shook his head and said, There were a few other males and some of them looked familiar. They should have come to solder together with you. Gu Mingming frowned. Those who came to solder with her, weren't they from Saint Nazir? Cole continued, She has a very strong male with her. I can't tell where he came from and I don't know him either. All I know is that he's extremely powerful. Even I can only barely fight him to a draw. If not for a tiger beast charging out at the critical moment, I might not have been able to bring little Master Qi Xian back. Tiger beast, Cole nodded and said, In the chaos, I only heard some deity, someone saying sorry to you. Gu Mingming remained silent for a moment before asking, Official Su Xian? Cole recalled for a moment and nodded. Gu Mingming asked, And then? What happened to him? Cole took a deep breath and said, His chest was torn apart by Ai Li, and he died from eating his heart. Digression. Today's update was completed again. Chapter 496. Gu Mingming clenched her fists tightly before slowly releasing them. She said, Killing my tribesmen and hurting my son, huh? I really became Mr. Donghua for once, and saved a frozen snake. Cole sighed and hesitated for a moment before placing his hand over Gu Mingming's. He said, I will recover as soon as possible. Once I recover, I will bring my tribesmen to the Snake King Valley to find Snake. Even if he is the Snake King, he would not dare to go against the entire beast world. Gu Mingming retracted her hand and took a step back without anyone noticing. She said, Didn't you say that it is very dangerous to offend the Snake King Valley? Cole smiled and pretended not to notice Gu Mingming's distancing. He said, For the great messenger, even if I have to sacrifice my life, I will not hesitate. Gu Mingming shook her head. No need. You've already done enough for me. I can't drag you down any further. Recuperate well tomorrow. I will set off for Saint Nazir. Cole frowned. No way, it is too dangerous. Gu Mingming smiled. Don't forget, I am the messenger of the beast deity. I have the protection of the flame demons. If they are not willing to return my son to me, I will burn down the entire Snake King Valley. Cole said, if Little Master is also in the Snake King Valley, he will be accidentally injured. Gu Mingming did not reply to Cole. She just turned around and said, helping me to this point is enough. Have a good rest. Gu Mingming pushed the door open and left. During this period of time, Cole was unconscious. She gave up her room for Cole to stay in while she stayed in a slightly further but quieter room. Looking at Gu Mingming's departing back view, Cole slowly sat up straight. He lowered his head to look at the wound on his abdomen. With a disappointed gaze he muttered, is this degree still not enough? A figure leaped in seductively. Her long and slender fingers gently brushed across Cole's abdomen. That cold touch was completely different from Gu Mingming's warmth. Cole frowned in annoyance and swatted away the slender hand that was rubbing his wound. He turned his gaze to the side and revealed an impatient expression. The hand that had been slapped away did not touch him again. Instead, it gently cupped its chin and moved its face closer to Cole's abdomen. It stuck out its tongue and licked the blood that seeped out from Cole's wound. A snake tail coiled around Cole's waist in an S shape, supporting his body and arching him up, like a lazy king looking down on everything. Ellie twisted her waist and slid upwards slowly. With a seductive expression, her snake tail slowly entered Cole's beast-skin dress and wrapped around his thighs. Leaning forward, she displayed her beautiful body and said in a teasing tone, she doesn't know what's good for her. Why do you have to be so persistent with her? In order to gain her trust, she had actually injured herself so badly. But in the end, didn't she still have to leave? Why don't you give it to me easily? At least, I will treat you sincerely. Cole strangled Ellie's neck and stretched out his arm, increasing the distance between them. He frowned in disdain and said with a disdainful gaze, she is the messenger of the beast deity. How dare you compare yourself to her? You overestimate yourself. Ellie almost suffocated, and her gaze became even more dazed. Her hands gently wrapped around Cole's arm that was strangling her neck and rubbed it back and forth, saying, you are indeed, Lord Cole. This bloodthirsty look is really captivating. Please take my life, it belongs to you. Cole sneered and flung his arm, throwing Ellie onto the ground. He took out a piece of beast skin and wiped his fingers in disgust. He said coldly, you are so lowly that it makes me disgusted. Don't say that you belong to me. You are not worthy. Aside from the topic. Chapter 497. Ellie did not get angry. She moved her body and climbed onto Cole's body again. She peeked her head out from Cole's shoulder, and her hands roamed restlessly on Cole's body. She stuck out her tongue and whispered into Cole's ear. She said she wants to leave tomorrow. Will you let her go? Thinking of Gu Mingming, Cole's expression changed slightly. His gaze became gentler, and the corners of his lips curled up a little. He said, it was not easy to snatch her over. How can I let her go? Ellie said, since she wants to see her little wolf pups so badly, why not lock her up with those wolf pups? Cole looked at Ellie coldly and said, she is my noble owner, and you actually want to lock her up? Are you courting death? Ellie's body trembled, and her face was full of infatuation. She said, but if we don't lock her up, how can we stop her from leaving? Cole turned around and sat back on the bed. He frowned and said, that damn bird. If not for the fact that Agu might be suspicious and kept it as a backup, I would have killed it directly. If that was the case, Elvis and that good brother of mine should be searching around aimlessly like headless flies instead of concentrating on attacking Sauter. Ellie coiled her snake tail and snuggled beside Cole's feet. She placed her fair arms gently on Cole's thighs and her dark green hair spread over Cole's knees. She tilted her head and looked up at Cole. She said, I heard that Elvis leveled up again when he was fighting with the 5th level beast you sent. It has only been half a year since he made it, and he actually broke through 2 levels consecutively. TSK, what a top-notch product. As Ellie said, she stuck out her tongue. Her snake eyes straightened, and she revealed a greedy smile. Cole pinched her lower jaw and laughed in disdain and sarcasm. He said, I asked you to seduce him, but what happened in the end? You didn't even touch his belt, right? If you don't have enough skills, you won't be able to eat him no matter how top-notch he is. Ellie frowned in grievance. She said in a demonic voice, that blockhead is so stubborn. He can't see anyone other than Gu Mingming. No matter how hard I tried to please him, he didn't even look at me. Even that brother of yours. Cole sneered and pushed Ellie away. With Gu Mingming around, you are indeed too inconspicuous. With that, Cole strode away, leaving behind only one sentence. I still have use for those 3 wolf pups. Use the right amount of poison, don't kill them. Allie shook her body and answered with a yes, before climbing out of the window. Cole sorted out his emotions. When he pushed open the door, he already looked weak and concerned. He held onto the wall and walked to Gu Mingming's room, knocking on the door. With Qi Xian in her arms, Gu Mingming pushed open the door and was a little surprised to see Cole. Why aren't you lying on the bed? Why are you walking around? What if the wound opens up again? Gu Mingming said as she held onto Cole's arm and led him into the house. Cole smiled warmly and said to Gu Mingming, Great messenger, if you must leave Sauter tomorrow, please let Cole accompany you. Gu Mingming looked at Cole's wound and frowned. How are you going to escort them with your injuries? It's better for me to stay here and recuperate. I'll get someone else to send me off. Chapter 498. Gu Mingming sighed and said, But your injury? Cole took 2 steps forward agitatedly and said, I'm fine. His wound split open and Cole was in a lot of pain. Gu Mingming went forward to support him and frowned. Look at you, still trying to be brave? Cole took the opportunity to hug Gu Mingming. He circled her waist with one hand and hooked her chin with the other. He looked at Gu Mingming with deep and meaningful eyes and said, Gu, why are you so concerned about me? Actually, you have me in your heart too, right? Although I can't leave my mark on your body, I will give you all my loyalty. You will accept it, right? Gu Mingming's chin was held by Cole as she stared at him quietly. Her eyes were misty, and her thin lips moved slightly. Cole, air. Cole's smile bloomed on his lips as he kissed Gu Mingming's neck gently. He replied gently, Yes, I will always be by your side. Gu, I like you so much. Can you stay by my side? Let me always be by your side and take care of you, all right? Gu Mingming narrowed her eyes and didn't reply. Cole looked up and blew a gentle breath at Gu Mingming. Then he stared intently into Gu Mingming's eyes and repeated hypnotically, I have your favorite big tail. It's even bigger and softer than Lee's. My body is also stronger than your wolf companion, so I can satisfy you better during mating. A perfect male like me is willing to crawl at your feet and pledge allegiance to you, waiting for you to pamper me. What are you still hesitating for? Isn't it good to have me and have me? Gu Mingming slowly lowered her eyelids as if she had lost consciousness. Cole leaned forward and wanted to kiss Gu Mingming's lips. But before he could do so, he heard Gu Mingming's cold voice. You said, who are you stronger than? Cole was taken aback. He looked down and realized that Gu Mingming was holding Ellie's scale against his wound. Gu, Cole called out softly. Gu Mingming tilted her head and said, I don't remember allowing you to call me by such a disgusting name. Cole's frozen expression only lasted for a moment before he quickly calmed down. He then took a step back and lowered his head respectfully. Great messenger. Gu Mingming laughed coldly. Surprised? The fox seductive fragrance has no effect on me. Cole shook his head. It only proves that I am not good enough to move the great messenger. Gu Mingming nodded approvingly and said, Compared to that vixen of mine, you are really too lacking. Cole clenched his fists instinctively and looked up to meet Gu Mingming's smiling eyes. He slowly relaxed and lowered his head, saying, Compared to Sir Leah, I am still lacking in many aspects. Gu Mingming patted Cole's shoulder lightly and said, Since you have already said so much, stop pretending. To be able to endure until now, before using the fox seductive fragrance on me, you can be considered to be quite patient. Cole frowned and glanced sideways at Gu Mingming. You have been guarding against me from the start? Gu Mingming shook her head and said, I didn't when I first arrived. When Ian asked me to ask for your help, I really treated you as a life-saving straw. Cole. Then? Chapter 499. Cole did not seem to understand as he stood on the spot, questioning Gu Mingming with his gaze. Gu Mingming smiled and lowered her head to look at her son in her arms. Her gaze and tone were so gentle that one would not be guarded against her. Who would risk their lives for someone they have no relatives or friends, and not even ask for something? It's not like Guanyin Bodhisattva, who is merciful to the world. Cole frowned and asked, "But Sauter is the messenger's tribe. It's only right to listen to the messenger's orders." Gu Mingming shook her head and said, "Sauter is following the previous messenger of the beast deity, not me. And it's impossible to be absolutely loyal to a legend from 1,000 years ago. If you are really so loyal to the messenger of the beast deity, then the current leader of Sauter should be your big brother. And Leah should be here as a witch doctor. Just you, what right do you have to be the leader?" Cole frowned, and his eyes were filled with violence. When he stared at Gu Mingming, he could not hide his anger, as if Gu Mingming chuckled and said, "Why? Did I step on your sore spot? So this matter is not only the nightmare of my vixen, it's also your inner demon, right?" Cole clenched his fists tightly as he stared at Gu Mingming with a frown and said word by word, "I am the leader of Sauter." Gu Mingming nodded and admitted, "Yes, you are. Don't worry, my vixen has no designs on Sauter. You can keep this broken tribe for yourself. We don't want it." Broken tribe? Cole took a step forward and pinched Gu Mingming's jaw. He smiled coldly and squinted his eyes, saying, "He doesn't care about Sauter. Then what does he care about? Saint Nazir, or you? Unfortunately, he can't protect either of them. I will destroy Saint Nazir, then possess you." Gu Mingming smiled and did not resist. She just looked at Cole and said, "You are indeed not afraid of the beast deity." Cole laughed coldly and said, "Since the beast deity has never loved me, why should I be afraid of him?" Gu Mingming nodded and said, "That's true. A beast deity that has never manifested his spirit is indeed not worth being afraid of. However, you should be afraid of me." Cole frowned before smiling again. He caressed Gu Mingming's little face with his thumb and said with a devilish affection, "Why should I be afraid of you?" Not only did Gu Mingming not retreat, she even moved closer to Cole. Cole did not dodge, and allowed Gu Mingming's little face to come close to the tip of his nose. There were many emotions that he could not understand in those clear big eyes, but he was mesmerized by them. Every action of hers made him crazily want to have her. This was the kind of female that should stand by his side. "Don't you have any doubts? Since I've already seen through it, why should I stay by your side and continue acting instead of leaving?" Cole frowned and stared at Gu Mingming without saying a word. "There are so many places to live. Why did I choose this small room?" Cole scanned his surroundings warily, but did not discover anything unusual. "Are you suspecting that I'm bluffing?" Gu Mingming suddenly slapped Cole's hand away and turned to sit on the side of the bed. At the same time, the wall on Cole's left started to loosen and then collapsed with a loud bang. Dust flew everywhere like billowing smoke. Chapter 500. Gu Mingming gently caressed the little snow fox's neck, as if she was thinking about something. She looked up at Cole and asked, "Where are my sons? Return them to me." Cole was obviously taken aback when he first saw the little snow fox, but he quickly regained his composure, as if he was not afraid of Gu Mingming's hand on the little fox's neck. He just looked at Gu Mingming attentively and said, "The little masters are very safe. As long as you are willing to stay by my side, I can let you see them anytime." Gu Mingming lowered her head and looked at the snow fox she was pinching. "Now, are you in a position to negotiate with me?" Cole smiled and said, "I have already reached the peak of 5th level for a long time. Even if my partner dies now, I will not lose my life due to the backlash of the contract. If you are willing to kill her personally, I will treat it as you being jealous, because you do not like other females around me. To me, it should be a kind of reward." Gu Mingming smiled and said, "Although the backlash of the mating contract will not take your life, it can still severely injure you. By then, do you think you are still Elvis's opponent?" Cole did not seem to take Gu Mingming's threat seriously and said, "I have no opinion on you killing Jillian, but I am afraid the one who is reluctant is Leah." Gu Mingming raised her eyebrows and turned to look at Leah. Why? First love? Leah turned his head away awkwardly and looked at Gu Mingming from the corner of his eye. He nodded slightly and said, We were engaged before. Gu Mingming lifted her chin and Leah immediately added, But I do not like her. The engagement is set according to the tribe rules. The witch doctor must marry the female from the tribe leader's family to maintain the stable relationship between the deity and the regime. Gu Mingming did not pursue the matter and just smiled. You don't have to explain, I believe you. Li's smile warmed up and he hugged Gu Mingming's waist and kissed her little face. He rubbed his forehead against Gu Mingming's and said in a low voice, Mingming, I miss you so much. Gu Mingming patted Li's back and said, I miss you and Elvis very much too, but we have to settle Cole and save the little wolves first. Leah nodded. His slender hands turned into sharp claws in front of Gu Mingming and pierced towards Jillian, as if he was trying to prove to her that he had no feelings for this little fox. Leah. Gu Mingming stopped Leah and shook her head lightly. It's not my style to kill an unconscious female. Leah shrugged his shoulders helplessly. I'll listen to you. Gu Mingming walked to Elvis's side and hugged him again. Then she said, It must have been tough during this period, right? After we save our son, I'll make you a delicious tonic. Elvis's voice was a little hoarse as he gently rubbed Gu Mingming's little head. Then, he pulled her into his arms and finally heaved a sigh of relief. Chapter 501. Cole nodded and said, That makes sense. But if I die, you will never be able to see those 3 little wolf pups again. If you don't mind, you can come and kill me now. You don't have to go through so much trouble to activate the mating contract. Just use that snake scale in your hand and cut me into pieces. I will not dodge. Gu Mingming clenched her teeth and said, Your life is not as valuable as my son's. Cole took a step forward and wanted to hold Gu Mingming's little hand, but his wrist was grabbed by Elvis. The two of them stared at each other and refused to give in. Cole suddenly smiled and said, Gu, actually, what's wrong with staying in solder? Everything here belongs to you, including me and them. Gu Mingming laughed coldly and took a step back. She was a little disgusted and said, They originally belonged to me. It's the same no matter where I am. As for you, I don't want dirty things. I am dirty things? Then what about Leah? What about a fellow who had an affair with his father's beloved concubine and was banished from the tribe? Cole looked at Leah with a hideous expression and revealed an indescribable smile. Leah clenched his fists tightly, but could not say a word. Gu Mingming frowned and went forward to give Cole a tight slap. She said, Watch your mouth, my vixen is not such a person. Cole did not seem to be angered by this slap, and instead laughed even more wildly. You are angry from embarrassment, right? Everyone in the tribe saw whether he is such a person or not. It's him. He was the one who angered our father to death, broke the tribe rules and brought shame to solder. That's why he was banished. You didn't know anything, and you actually took him in as your beast pet? You! Gu Mingming raised her arm to slap Cole, but her body was hugged from behind. Turning back, Gu Mingming met Li's long and affectionate eyes. That pair of eyes was misty, and he looked at Gu Mingming quietly. He said, Mingming, I didn't. Gu Mingming nodded and pulled Leah into her arms. I know you didn't. Cole laughed loudly and shook his arm forcefully, freeing himself from Elvis's grip. He leaned against the door frame and looked at Leah. His tone was so harsh that it was unbearable. Gu, you've actually enjoyed Leah long ago, haven't you? It's just that he's the same as me. Someone who's mated with another female, so he can't leave a mark on you. That's why you're telling others that he's your beast pet, right? Gu Mingming was taken aback. She suddenly recalled that before the incident that day, Elvis had purposely found an excuse to leave the cave to create an opportunity for her and Leah to mate. At that time, she had told Leah, I will not mate with you. At that time, Li's reaction was a little lonely, but more of helplessness and responsibility. He remained silent for a moment and only said to her, I am already satisfied to be able to stay by your side. As for other things, I don't care. At that time, Gu Mingming thought that he was referring to mating and having children when he said he did not care. Now it seemed that this was included as well. The more she doted on Leah, the more rumors would spread. No one would believe that she did not mate with Leah, so the fact that she did not have Lee's mark on her body became the evidence that Leah had committed that crime in the past. Leah pulled Gu Mingming and hugged her gently in his arms. I don't care what the truth is in other people's eyes. I only care about you. So don't be affected by him. It's enough that you know I'm innocent. Aside from the topic, remember that Leah wanted Gu Mingming to do a body check that day? Leah said, aren't you going to check if your beast pet is clean? Chapter 502. Gu Mingming patted Lee's back, then turned around to look at the giant bird circling in the sky. Although she had only sat on it once, she could still recognize that it was Ian. Gu Mingming smiled. Looks like it's a done deal. Cole suddenly turned around and looked at Ian in the sky. He frowned and said, Gu, what are you planning? Gu Mingming's smile slowly faded and finally froze into a cold expression. I'll give you one last chance. Return my son to me. Then we'll leave and pretend nothing happened. Cole, leave? Where are you going without my permission? Gu Mingming raised her brows. Then there's nothing to talk about. Cole raised his head, determined to win. Gu Mingming took 2 steps back and sat back on the bed. She took out a small bamboo tube from under the blanket, opened the lid, and poured it into the little snow fox's mouth. Cole instantly felt something burning in his chest. He instinctively wanted to go forward to stop Gu Mingming, but was blocked by Elvis, who did not budge an inch. Gu Mingming threw the small bamboo tube to Cole. Smell it, maybe you know what this is. Cole put it in front of his nose and sniffed, instantly frowning. Amulet used to wash away the mating mark? Gu Mingming nodded. Yeah, luckily our tribe had a completely heartless negative example. Or else I might have to kill someone to restrain you today. Cole knew he did not have much time. The backlash from the contract would come very quickly. He had to get rid of Elvis before it happened. But Elvis was already a 5th-level orc. He could not be defeated with just a simple release of pressure. To fight for more time, Cole suddenly launched an attack on Elvis. Each move was deadly. Definitely not like Damagua, who was displaying his slight skill in front of an expert. Elvis was rich in battle experience, but Cole was not inferior to him. After a few moves, both of them were badly mutilated, their wounds so deep that their bones could be seen. Gu Mingming frowned. They were both 5th level, but Cole was still suffering from the backlash from the mating contract. Yet he could still injure Elvis so badly. He had underestimated the enemy. Gu Mingming clenched her teeth and gave Leah a look. Leah immediately understood and took out a small beast skin bag from the pocket of her beast skin dress. Gu Mingming took it and sniffed it. She smirked coldly. Leah quickly joined the battle. Although his level was not high, with their many years of teamwork, he was able to cooperate well. He left a few wounds on Cole's body that were not fatal, but were enough to restrict his movements. Gu Mingming saw the opportunity and roared, "Disperse!" Elvis and Leah retreated to the sides in tacit understanding. Gu Mingming shook the beast's skin in her hands, and the red powder danced in the air. After shaking it, Gu Mingming immediately covered her mouth and nose with her arms and turned to run. But before she could take a step, she felt the weight on her waist lighten, and she was pulled into an embrace. It was mixed with the smell of blood, but also had a warmth that made her feel at ease. Compared to Cole's uncontrollable howls, the moans above Gu Mingming's head made her even more worried. Raising her head, she met with a pair of blue eyes, slightly reproachful, but more heartache. Battles between males are very dangerous. You are not allowed to rush up in the future. Gu Mingming nodded obediently. Seeing some chili powder fall on Elvis's wounds, she could not help but feel heartache. Does it hurt? Chapter 503. Let me help you treat your wounds first, Gu Mingming said. Elvis shook his head and glanced sideways at Cole, who was rolling on the ground. I am not as powerful as him. If I miss this chance, I will never win. With that, Elvis handed Gu Mingming over to Leah. He ignored the wounds all over his body and continued to fight with Cole. Elvis had as much chili powder as Cole had on him. Both of them were severely injured to the bone. Neither of them had the upper hand. Gu Mingming's heart ached at the sight. She regretted her stupid move. It was such a loss to sacrifice 800 men to kill 1,000 enemies. It was not worth it at all. But luckily, Elvis won in the end. He tore off Cole's arm and slammed his knee downwards. The bones in Cole's calf gave off a crisp sound of bone breaking. With a miserable howl, Cole completely lost the ability to retaliate. He could only lie on the ground and twitch. Actually, Gu Mingming was not used to such a bloody scene. But for her son, she had to endure it even if she was afraid. Cole wriggled his body and forced himself to sit up. He leaned against the corner of the wall in a strange position. He looked at Leah with a ferocious gaze, as if he was a devil that had crawled out from hell. He wrote while blood flowed out of his mouth. "So what if you kill me? Ha ha, ha, you will forever be Sauter's sinner. The sinner that angered father to death. Everything you have, everything you cherish, will eventually belong to me." Leah hugged Gu Mingming gently and used his body to block her view. He said coldly, "You are wrong. I have nothing. I have never owned anything in this world. The only lucky thing is that I am Gu Mingming's possession." Cole bared his teeth. His gaze was bloodthirsty. He touched the old wound on his abdomen that Gu Mingming had stitched up. Because of the fight, the wound that was not stitched up properly was torn open again. But Cole did not care at all. He just laughed coldly and said, "Gu will also be mine." Gu Mingming ignored Cole's words. She just separated herself from Lee's arms to take care of Elvis. She knew that Leah and Cole must have some old scores to settle, and all she had to do was to silently support Leah. That was enough. Leah kissed Gu Mingming's forehead. He then slowly walked to Cole and squatted down to look him in the eye. One was as white as snow. If he was covered in dirt, the difference was obvious. Chapter 504. It's not your cubs. Why are you so nervous? Cole sneered. "Ah, you want to pretend to be a good person in front of Agu. It's no use, she won't fall for it. She just told me. No one would risk their lives for someone who is not related to them. There must be a condition." Leah smiled. "You don't have to care about my motive. You just have to know what kind of situation you are in now." Cole smiled too. "Do you think I'm a fool like you? You guys are not killing me now, because you haven't found the little wolves. Once I hand them over, you guys will use all means to torture me." Leah nodded. "It's really hard to be kind in front of you. Since you don't believe me, let's put it in another way." Lee's smile was still calm and indifferent. He strangled Cole's neck with both hands. "Hand over the little wolves, or else I will make death an extravagant hope for you." Cole wanted to say something, but his throat was being strangled by Leah. He could not make a sound. Leah seemed to have suddenly thought of something and said, "Ah, are you waiting for your guards?" Cole narrowed his eyes, only to see Leah beckoning towards the door. Then, Oriton dragged something covered in blood and walked out of the door. He couldn't see anything else clearly, but that foxtail was very eye-catching. Leah gave Cole some time to think. "Or, are you waiting for those warriors to attack Saint Nazir, while Elvis and I are here to save Mingming?" "Yeah, they should have reached Saint Nazir by now. But what should we do? There's not a single person in Saint Nazir now. All the warriors in our tribe are in Sauter. In other words, Sauter is under our control now." You're lying." Cole could no longer keep his expression straight. He leaned forward and wanted to grab Leah. Leah stood up slowly and took a step back. He frowned. "I'm sorry, but Mingming doesn't like others touching me." Cole did not give up and looked outside, but he realized that there was really no one on his side in his field of vision. "Impossible, it's impossible for you to know. All the arrangements were directly ordered by me. I don't know your orders, I just know your character." Leah looked down at Cole and said, "You purposely used your beast pressure to suppress Saint Nazir, so that Mingming would take the initiative to seek help from you. After all, you are the only 5th level orc that she knows. Therefore, Mingming's appearance must have made you very proud. But you also know that Elvis and I will definitely come looking for you. Once Mingming sees us, she will not rely on you anymore. So the best way is to get rid of us. Get rid of Saint Nazir. Get rid of everything she can rely on, and let you be her only crutch. This is just a reenactment of the method used to deal with me. How could I not have guessed it?" Cole narrowed his eyes and sneered. "My 9th brother has really grown up." Leah looked down and said calmly, "It's just a lesson learned." However, I can tell you that your warriors most likely won't be coming back. After all, you, who are at the peak of the 5th level, were already in such a state from the backlash of the mating contract. They, who are only at the 4th level, may not be able to withstand it. Chapter 505. Leah did not kill Cole, but brought him to Sauter's dungeon. Gu Mingming did not know how Leah would force Cole to reveal the whereabouts of the little wolves, but it would not be a beautiful and harmonious scene. Gu Mingming stayed behind to take care of Elvis and Qixian. She placed them on the bed, then used a small basin of clear water to clean Elvis's wounds. While cleaning, she said, "Are you a fool? The wound is so deep, and you even rushed into the chili. How painful is that?" Elvis smiled and held Gu Mingming's little hand lightly. "As long as you are fine, this pain is nothing." Gu Mingming saw that Elvis did not let go of her hand, so she could only sit by the bed obediently. She carefully avoided Elvis's wounds and asked, "What happened after I left? Why did Dylan help Leah to pass the message?" "Not long after you left, that beast pressure disappeared. Everyone's beast pressure is different, so Leah easily guessed that it was Cole's trick. He wanted to stop you, but it was too late. This time Ian was too clever for his own good." Elvis pulled Gu Mingming's little hand to his lips and kissed it. He continued, "Luckily, Lee's plan from the start was to take revenge on Sauter, so he did not panic. All the revenge plans were slightly modified, and became a new plan to rescue you." Gu Mingming lowered her head. "I'm sorry, I panicked when I saw my son being kidnapped. I acted without much consideration, and implicated all of you." Elvis shook his head. "Fool, it's my honor to be able to fight for you." Gu Mingming gently leaned into Elvis's arms. She carefully avoided his wounds. "But your injuries are so serious." Elvis turned his body slightly, and focused his gaze on Gu Mingming's little face. He said with a doting expression, "These injuries are nothing. I am a 5th level orc now. I will recover in no time. Look, I am no longer in pain." Gu Mingming's eyes were red. "How can you not be in pain with such injuries?" Elvis gently wiped away Gu Mingming's tears. "As long as I can see you, I will not feel pain anywhere." Gu Mingming buried her face into Elvis's palm and said, "I'm sorry for making you worry." Elvis heaved a long sigh of relief and kissed Gu Mingming's tear-stained face. "You have my mating mark on you. If anything happens to you, I will definitely know. The fact that I have felt no danger proves that you are safe. But even so, my heart was still flustered. You can't run around anymore. No matter what you do, you have to have me by your side. Do you understand?" Gu Mingming nodded. "I will never run around again. I will never let you fall into such a predicament because of me." Elvis just smiled. The sleepless battles over the past few days had made him exhausted. It was his conviction to see Gu Mingming that had supported him till now. Now that Gu Mingming was in his arms, he finally could not resist the sleepiness and slowly closed his eyes, falling into a deep sleep. When Elvis woke up, Leah was already back. Exhausted, Leah only hugged Gu Mingming and said, "Thank you." "MMM?" Gu Mingming did not understand. It was clearly her fault for not thinking things through. Why was Leah thanking her? Chapter 506. No matter how many times Gu Mingming experienced the tolerance males gave to females in the beast world, she still felt it was too exaggerated, and could not get used to it. Moving her shoulders, Gu Mingming looked up and asked, "Did he say where the babies are?" Leah shook his head apologetically and said, "The more we care about the little wolf babies, the more Cole will use this as a bargaining chip to threaten us. I need some time to plan." Gu Mingming nodded. She knew that Leah and Elvis had been waiting day and night for this period of time to save her. No matter how anxious she was, she could not bear to rush them at this time. Leah knew that Gu Mingming was worried, and gently hugged her back to Elvis's side. He placed Gu Mingming in the middle, and laid on the other side of her. His furry large tail covered Gu Mingming like a blanket. Leah and Elvis each held one of Gu Mingming's hands and said, "Tell us everything that happened when we were not by your side. The more information we have, the more beneficial it will be for my plan." Gu Mingming nodded. Then she recounted how she came here to seek help, how she realized there was something wrong with Cole, how she tried to please him, and even how she purposely misaligned the needle angles when she was stitching Cole's wound, making it into a weird shape so that the wound would not heal easily. Then Dylan asked Gu Mingming, "Regarding kissing you without permission, should I apologize or confess?" At that time, Gu Mingming almost wanted to give Dylan a slap. Later on, Dylan told her many secrets that only Gu Mingming could know through Leah, before she finally believed that Dylan was really Lee's man. Then, she told her all the details of Dylan and Lee's exchange of crucial information and cooperation. Leah listened carefully and remained silent for a long time before saying, "I guess the little wolves should be in Ellie's hands." Gu Mingming was confused and asked, "Why do you think it's Ellie? Just because of Cole's words?" Leah nodded and said, "Cole is a meticulous person, and his lies are never completely false. There must be some truth hidden in the false information. Based on my analysis, the information about the Snake King is true, because it would be too easy for him to expose himself. Moreover, the Snake King was just trying to intimidate you and make you believe that the Snake King Valley is very dangerous. His motive was to make you rely and trust him. After all, in the face of such a powerful opponent, he was the only one you could rely on. He must be lying when he said he was looking for a level 5 snake beast, because he was the one who helped Allie kidnap the wolf cub. Why would he be looking for a snake beast?" Gu Mingming thought along with Lee's words and said, "The wound on his abdomen was lacerated, and he had mild symptoms of poisoning when he first came back. He said that he was bitten by Allie's accomplice, and Dylan also said that the wound was caused by the snake's teeth. Then was it Ellie who bit him?" Leah thought about it and agreed. "The possibility is very high." Gu Mingming laughed coldly. "Injuring myself to gain the confidence of others? You're really willing to part with your capital, and almost lost your life just to deceive me?" Leah pinched Gu Mingming's chin and said, "Don't underestimate your charm. If my role was swapped with Cole today, I might be even more ruthless than him." Chapter 507. Not all of them, probably. Only Cole and I are like this. Leah lowered his head and smiled bitterly. "When I was young, everyone wanted me to develop a rapport with my eldest brother. But no one knew that the person I liked the most was my second brother, Cole. Because my eldest brother always had a long face. Every time we met, he would ask me how many esoteric manuals I had memorized. Did my deduction skills improve? How many medicinal herbs and cases did I learn? But Cole was different. Every time he came back from outside, he would bring me new toys, tell me interesting stories, and secretly bring me out to play. So compared to my eldest brother, I am closer to Cole." Gu Mingming did not interrupt Leah, because Lee's past and what had happened was like Pandora's box full of unknowns. If he was finally willing to open it, even if the last thing that jumped out was a devil, Gu Mingming would have the courage to hug Leah and face it together. Leah kissed Gu Mingming's forehead, as if this was the only way for him to have the courage to continue. "But until he pushed me onto the bed of my father's beloved concubine, then brought my father and a group of elders to rush in, did I know? I was tricked by my most beloved second brother. My father said that he wanted to kill me in a fit of anger, but he cried and hugged his father's leg to plead for me. He wanted my father to spare my life on account of us being father and son. Banishment became my outcome, and he gained the good reputation of being loyal to his father and loving his younger brother." Gu Mingming raised her hand and gently touched the dead knot between Lee's brows. She asked, "If something really happened between you and that beloved concubine, there would definitely be a mark. Since you didn't do it, you should explain to your father clearly. You just need to check that beloved concubine's body, and the truth will be revealed." Leah held Gu Mingming's little hand gently and kissed it. He said, "Fool, it's not important whether something happened between me and that beloved concubine. What's important is that all the nobles, elders, and my father saw me lying on that beloved concubine's bed in a disheveled state. This is enough to make my father lose face. As for what happened between me and her, no one would care." Gu Mingming looked at the coldness in Lee's eyes and felt a sharp pain in her heart. He was a biological father. His face was more important than his son. How twisted. Leah sighed and continued, Ninth Highness, in just one night, you've turned from the successor of Sauter's godly authority to a shameless synonym of a promiscuous father's concubine, who should be devoured by the flame devil. I was banished, whipped, and bullied, but I stubbornly wanted to come back and demand an explanation. I shouted that I was innocent and that I didn't do those things. But what he got in return was an even crueler and more ruthless banishment. Later on, I met Cole in the forest on the outskirts of Sauter. He had come looking for me on purpose, and even brought my favorite food. He said he just came to see how the favored son of theocracy, who used to be doted on by everyone, was now in dire straits. Gu Mingming frowned and hugged Li's arm, her heart aching for him. Is his mind twisted? Why would he harm you like this? Chapter 508. Gu Mingming hugged Leah and wanted to comfort him, but she did not know where to start. But Leah did not seem to be sad over the past. He just looked up at Gu Mingming with a smile and asked, "Your heart aches?" Gu Mingming nodded and did not hide her emotions. Leah hugged Gu Mingming's waist back and smiled. "I knew you are the softest. Saying these words to you, you will definitely not be able to harden your heart to me." Gu Mingming smiled faintly and replied, "Yeah, then why didn't you tell me earlier?" Leah shook his head and kissed Gu Mingming's cheek lightly, saying, "Because I am greedy. I want you to accept me because you like me and not because you pity me." Gu Mingming kissed Li's face back and asked again, "Then why are you telling me now?" Li's gaze was affectionate and gentle. He gently tidied the stray hair in front of Gu Mingming's forehead and said, "Because I am more greedy than before. Not only do I want you to like me, I also want you to feel sorry for me, think about me, care about me, love me dearly." Gu Mingming blushed and let go of Li's hand. She shifted towards Elvis, who was behind her, and said, "What do you mean by love you dearly? Speak properly." Leah rubbed Gu Mingming's little head dotingly and said, "You always giving me such interesting reactions. I can't help but want to tease you all the time." Gu Mingming turned her face away and said, "Don't be serious. I am not going to talk to you anymore." Leah nodded and said, I'm too tired today. Tomorrow, I'll tell you what Elvis and I did when you were not around." Gu Mingming looked at Li's tired face and nodded. She offered her lips and kissed his chin, saying, "You too must be exhausted, have a good rest." Leah closed his eyes in satisfaction and adjusted the angle of his large furry tail on Gu Mingming's body to cover her properly. Elvis's hand passed under Gu Mingming's armpit and rested on her waist. He kissed the back of her head and said, "Xiaomeng, thank you." Gu Mingming did not turn back. She knew that there was a pair of affectionate eyes staring at her from behind. Her careless escape must have driven them crazy. However, when they saw her, not only did they not reprimand her, they even thanked her for protecting them and not letting them get hurt. This gratitude only made Gu Mingming feel even more guilty. She did not dare to meet Elvis's eyes because she knew very well how afraid Elvis was of being abandoned by her. She clearly knew that even if she were to go near the lake, he would be instantly tensed up. But she had completely thrown her fear of him to the back of her mind and chased after the danger alone. "Hubby, I'm sorry. I'll never run around again." Gu Mingming's apology was met with a deep kiss from Elvis, branding the back of her head. "Fool, go to sleep." Ignoring the pain from Gu Mingming's touch, Elvis pulled her into his arms and hugged her even tighter. Only then could he close his eyes in peace and not worry about her suffering in a place he could not see, or about her facing unforeseen dangers. The next morning, Leah woke up early to prepare breakfast. Oriton, who shared a meal with them, and Ian, who no longer needed to hide his identity, brought the giant beast and fish. Chapter 509. It was not convenient for Oriton and Ian to enter Gu Mingming's house. So Leah set up a big pot outside the house and told them everything that happened after Gu Mingming left while cooking. The situation was too chaotic and Ian's judgment could not be said to be wrong. After all, everyone in Saint Nazir was suppressed. Even if Gu Mingming was the messenger of the beast deity, she was like a piece of shellfish without the protection of its shell. It was too dangerous. Compared to staying in an unknown danger, Seeking protection from the tribe of the previous messenger of the beast deity was the best choice. Even if Cole had any selfish motives, the identity of the messenger of the beast deity was already known to the public. No matter what, Cole could only protect Gu Mingming. This was also the reason why Ian left immediately after his injuries were slightly better. If not, Cole could just kill Ian and seal off the news of Gu Mingming being in solder. Then, he could accuse Saint Nazir of failing to protect the messenger. After Saint Nazir was surrounded and destroyed by the various tribes in the beast world, Solder could then find a random reason to say that they saved Gu Mingming from some powerful person. Then, they would naturally become the hero who protected their master. Although Gu Mingming would most likely not cooperate with Ian's lies, they could just surround Gu Mingming and prevent her from interacting with the outside world. Who would know the truth then? Moreover, Cole still had the fox seductive fragrance. If he used it on Gu Mingming, she might. So, the first thing Ian did after waking up was to escape and become Gu Mingming's insurance. On his way back to Saint Nazir, he met Elvis and Leah who were chasing after him. After exchanging information, Ian then realized that he had fallen into Cole's trap. The 5th level beast pressure was not carried over by him, but Cole had purposely created an opening for him to bring Gu Mingming to him on his own accord. After Leah gathered all the information, the first step was to ask Ian to return to Saint Nazir and let everyone, including the females, head towards Solder. Leave 2 of the strongest males in each female's family, and let the entire Eagle Owl tribe escort the females to Solder. On the other hand, the other males would meet up with Elvis and attack Solder from the front to attract their attention and ensure the safety of the females. At the same time, they would cover for Leah to sneak into Solder and contact Dylan, who had defected long ago, to confirm Gu Mingming's safety and convey his plan to Gu Mingming. On the other hand, Gu Mingming pretended to be concerned about Cole, who was pretending to be unconscious. Leah was betting that Cole would definitely not give up the chance to let Gu Mingming accompany and get close to him in order to make the fox seductive fragrance work on Gu Mingming. In addition, Cole knew that Leah and Elvis were only 3rd level and 4th level respectively, so the 2 5th level snow foxes outside definitely had the ability to control the situation. That was why he stayed by Gu Mingming's side with a peace of mind, putting on a show of injuring himself to gain the confidence of the enemy. He completely did not realize that this was Lee's trick, using Gu Mingming as bait to restrain Solder's strongest battle power. As for the 2 level 5 beasts, she was only 5th level advanced, and eventually became Elvis's training partner. She successfully helped Elvis break out of the bottle and enter the 5th level state. Chapter 510. After defeating the 2 snow foxes, Leah did not choose to attack Solder immediately. Instead, he let Elvis rest and recuperate while secretly sneaking into Solder to search for Jillian's whereabouts. He knew Cole's ability. Even if Elvis had risen to the 5th level, it was almost impossible for him to defeat Cole in a head-on battle. The only chance of victory was to tamper with the mating contract. Leah resisted the urge to see Gu Mingming. He used the secret path that only the witch doctor knew to wander around the restricted areas of Solder. He did not believe that Cole would let his weakness leave his control. Ever since Cole became a partner, no one had seen this female before, and that was the best evidence. The only possibility was that he had hidden his female. When Leah finally found Jillian in the secret room that could only be entered during the tribe leader's sacrifice, Leah finally laughed out loud. He secretly brought Jillian away and could not wait to meet up with Elvis to attack Solder in one fell swoop. And at this moment, Cole was still dreaming of using the fox seductive fragrance to make Gu Mingming submit. Leah had described in one sentence how many blood-soaked battles and how many narrow escapes they had gone through. It was only right for a male to pay any price for a female. He did not want Gu Mingming to have any psychological burden because of this. But Gu Mingming was neither blind nor stupid. Elvis's old wounds that could not heal in time, Lee's faint scars that could not be hidden, and even Oraton's and Ian's bodies did not have a single piece of good flesh. Those who still did not dare to show their faces in front of him were even worse off. Gu Mingming knew that everyone did not want her to see their pathetic states, so she chose not to ask. But she would remember this kindness in her heart. Leah scooped a bowl of meat for Gu Mingming and fed her spoonful by spoonful. Gu Mingming wanted to reject him, but Lee's expression turned serious. He said in a wrong tone, "I am still a beast pet that you accepted. Don't I even have the right to feed you? During the time you were gone, I was worried every day whether Cole had mistreated you, did not feed you well, did not let you have a good rest. Now that I'm finally back by your side, can't you just let me feed you once and personally make sure that you're full so that I can feel at ease?" Gu Mingming had no choice but to listen to Leah. She carried the unconscious Qi Xian in her arms and ate the food Leah sent to her mouth mouthful by mouthful. Oriton still had a poker face. Now he could use his chopsticks like the wind and did not need anyone to tell him to eat. He only put down his chopsticks after wrapping up half a pot of stewed meat. He looked at Gu Mingming and said, "The first time I fought, it was not to protect myself, not because I was bored, not because I enjoyed killing, but to protect someone something. This feeling is very special. Thank you for giving me such an opportunity." Gu Mingming looked at Oriton, who looked like a military officer giving a post-battle report, and suddenly felt like laughing. She looked at Oriton speechlessly and pursed her lips before saying, "Do you know what you are saying? Look at your body full of injuries. This battle wasn't easy, right? Did he almost lose his life? You actually thanked me?" Chapter 511. This time, I know what I am fighting for. Killing is no longer just for pleasure. The moment I stood up from the pile of enemy corpses, I have never felt the meaning of living so clearly before. Although what I feel is not as strong as Elvis's, it is enough for me to thank you. Oriton was expressionless, and his tone was calm but firm. This made Gu Mingming believe that he was not being courteous or trying to flatter her, but sincere, feeling the meaning of living. This sentence seemed familiar. Gu Mingming recalled that she had heard Elvis say something similar before. Before he established Saint Nazir, he roamed around, causing trouble, and fought one battle after another just to seek the thrill of killing. In the end, even killing made him numb. At that time, his biggest doubt was, why did he want to live? So when he met Leah and Leah suggested to create a tribe, he agreed out of boredom. And Leah at that time also did not have the meaning of living. He was struggling at death's door just for revenge. Oriton, was it the same? Gu Mingming did not delve into Oriton's past. She now understood that if you did not want to be responsible for a male, you should not interfere too much with his life. Gu Mingming poured a cup of honey water for Oriton and said, "I don't know what you felt in this battle, but thank you for still being alive." Oriton was taken aback. He took the cup from Gu Mingming and held it with both hands. He stared at the ripples in the cup in a daze, and his lips curled up without replying. So this was the feeling of being alive. Gu Mingming looked at Ian again. That sickly young man's face was filled with conflict. He did not dare to look at Gu Mingming, but kept sneaking glances at her from the corner of his eyes. Gu Mingming smiled and said, "You looked so resolute and reliable when you asked me to get on. Why did you become so awkward after not seeing me for a few days?" Ian glared angrily and said, "Don't tell anyone else that I asked you to get on my back. I was in a hurry to save you, that's why I did that. Don't misunderstand, I did not ask you to do that because I like you." Gu Mingming revealed an expression that was even more horrified than Ian's. "I say it clearly, what did I do to you?" Leah hugged Gu Mingming's waist and whispered into her ear, "Back riding is a very sacred ritual. Once a male is willing to let you sit on his back, it means that he is willing to pledge his loyalty to you and be your slave for life. Many males, even if they were to mate, might not be willing to let their females ride on their backs. If there was one last bit of pride a male would have in front of a female, it would probably be the matter of getting on her back. Just look at Sandy. Although all her partners treated her very well, the only one who was willing to carry her on his back was her first partner, Bode. No matter how much Colin loves her, he will only hold her or carry her, and will never let her ride on his back." Gu Mingming tilted her head and said, "But the day Elvis brought me back to the tribe, he carried me back to the cave." Leah smiled and tapped Gu Mingming's little nose, saying, "That's why I said, In Elvis's heart, nothing is more important than you. His tribe is like this, his clansmen are like this, his friends are like this, even he himself is like this. Chapter 5:12. Gu Mingming picked up the stone bowl and scooped a big bowl of meat before turning to walk into the house. When she passed by Ian, she said, "Don't worry, I will definitely not tell anyone about this. I guarantee that when you mate in the future, you will still be innocent." Ian blushed and shrugged off Gu Mingming's hand with his shoulders shaking. He muttered, "Just talk, don't touch me." Gu Mingming chuckled and ignored Ian's awkwardness. She just carried the bowl into the house. Looking at Gu Mingming's back view, Leah waved his big tail and instructed Oriton to stay behind to watch over Gu Mingming, just in case. Meanwhile, he continued to interrogate Cole and interrogate him about the whereabouts of the little wolves. He knew that as long as the little wolves were not found, the gloominess on Gu Mingming's face would not disappear. But he did not mention that he was also the one who carried her on his back. "Hubby," Gu Mingming called out sweetly before lying beside Elvis's bed. She smiled at Elvis, who did not dare to move because of her insistence. She said, "Are you hungry? The food that Leah cooked today is super delicious. Let me feed you." Elvis cleared his throat and said, "Actually, after advancing to the 5th level, I realized that my body's recovery ability has become stronger. These external injuries are more or less healed. I can take care of myself now." But Gu Mingming did not comply. She pressed her hands lightly on Elvis's shoulders, who was trying to sit up. She pouted and said, "I am your wife. I should have the right to take care of you, right? You were injured so badly because of me. If I don't do anything for you, I will feel very uneasy." Elvis rubbed Gu Mingming's little head helplessly and said, "I am just afraid that it will be hard on you." Gu Mingming smiled and said, "How can it be hard to take care of my own hubby? Come, open your mouth." Elvis was a little embarrassed and ashamed, but he still opened his mouth with a stiff expression. Gu Mingming sent the spoon into his mouth, and he quickly ate the food on the spoon. Then, he shut his mouth and lowered his head. He looked at Gu Mingming helplessly and tenderly. Gu Mingming realized that the tips of Elvis's ears were pink. So she fiddled with his ears mischievously and said, "You are actually blushing after being fed by your own wife?" Elvis cleared his throat and said, "Males have always been the ones taking care of females. Since when has a female ever fed a male?" Gu Mingming said, "So what? Hada and the other 3 are also males." Halfway through her sentence, Gu Mingming suddenly could not continue. She unconsciously turned to look at the still unconscious Qixian. Gu Mingming's brows were tightly knitted together. Elvis propped himself up and pulled Gu Mingming into his arms. He rested his chin on Gu Mingming's head and sighed softly. "Don't worry, aren't I and Leah here? The wolf cubs would definitely be fine. Trust me, okay?" Gu Mingming knew that her emotions would affect the entire family's emotions. Be it Elvis or Leah, they were all trying their best to think of a solution for her. She could no longer use her sadness to pressure them. Rubbing her face, Gu Mingming forced herself to smile and said, "I know, I believe you." Elvis nodded and kissed Gu Mingming's little face lightly, before finishing the entire bowl of meat. Chapter 5:13. Gu Mingming looked at Lee's tired face and sighed softly. She forced herself to be calm and asked, "Is Cole still not willing to tell me where he hid the little wolves?" Leah shook his head and said, "He wants to see Elvis. He said he will only tell this news to Elvis." Gu Mingming and Elvis looked at each other and asked in confusion, "Tell Elvis?" Leah nodded and said, "That's strange. He clearly knows that Elvis is risking his life, not for the little wolves, but for you. There is a limit to how much he can use the little wolves to force Elvis to give in. If it was for his own benefit, he should have requested to see you. Firstly, you are the one who values the little wolves the most. There is nothing you would not agree to for the little wolves. Secondly, you are the messenger of the beast deity. Your words are equivalent to the words of God. Almost no one in the entire beast world dares to go against you. But he wants to see Elvis instead of you." Gu Mingming also felt that it was strange. She held on to Elvis's arm and asked, Is he unhappy that we used the backlash of the mating contract to trick him, so he wants to seek revenge on you? Elvis laughed coldly and said, Seek revenge on me? That's good. I haven't even settled the score with him for making you suffer. Gu Mingming pulled Elvis, who was about to stand up and leave. She said, But his skills are above yours and your injuries have not fully recovered. Elvis rubbed Gu Mingming's little head and said, You are my lifesaver. As long as I see you, all my injuries will be healed. He was greeted by Leah in the dungeon for 2 days. His condition must be much worse than mine. Don't worry, I will be fine. But Gu Mingming wanted to say something but was hugged by Leah. His warm chest pressed against Gu Mingming's back. He turned his face to Gu Mingming's ear and whispered, Let him go. If he doesn't vent, he will go crazy. Huh? Gu Mingming's brain could not keep up with the rhythm. She watched as Elvis had already entered into the night, while Leah was behind her, rubbing against her neck to find a comfortable position. She sighed softly and said, During the days when you were not around, Elvis was almost driven crazy by his own imagination. If he did not tear Cole into pieces, his anger would never dissipate. Although he is much gentler now, don't forget what kind of person he used to be. Gu Mingming remained silent for a moment before saying, What about you? You must have been worried sick. He kissed the side of Gu Mingming's face and carried her back to the bed, hugging her as they lay on the bed. His furry large tail covered Gu Mingming's body like a blanket, while his slender fingers brushed past Gu Mingming's face and stopped at her delicate chin. He pinched it lightly, and she lifted her face to meet his long and affectionate eyes. Gu Mingming's smile froze for a moment, then she looked up and met his long and passionate eyes. Yes, I was worried sick. I was afraid that you would fall in love with Cole's tail, which was thicker than mine. Afraid that you would fall for Cole's fox's seductive fragrance with his sweet words. Afraid that you would not be able to resist Cole's temptation and pounce on him. I was afraid that you would look down on me, a mere 3rd level, after falling in love with a 5th level Cole. So, I cut off Cole's tail, so that he would never be able to secrete the fox's seductive fragrance to seduce you. If not for the fact that I still need him to account for the little wolves, I might have cut off his tongue. Do you feel heartache? The expression on Lee's face was cold, as if he was a sick and arrogant child, using his bad to attract his parents' attention. Aside from the topic. Chapter 514. Gu Mingming cupped Lee's face with both her hands and smiled. Although I'm a heavy furry lover, I don't like all dirty things. I'm also very picky, alright? Lee's large tail swayed, and he finally landed back into Gu Mingming's arms. He kissed Gu Mingming's forehead and asked, Then do you like me? Gu Mingming hugged Lee's large tail and stroked it in satisfaction. If you know what first love means to a girl, you won't ask such a stupid question. Leah was confused and asked, What's first love? Gu Mingming thought for a while and answered, First love is the first time a girl shyly gives her entire heart to a boy. She clearly doesn't know anything but longs for eternity. She blindly believes that as long as she holds on to this pair of hands, she can walk to the end of the world. This boy becomes the mentor of a girl's love. From then on, all the love affairs of a girl's life will be influenced by this first love, intentionally or unintentionally. If there are 3 men a girl can never forget, it would probably be daddy, first love, and the first man who turned her from a girl into a woman. Leah suddenly laughed as he listened. He held Gu Mingming's hand and kissed it, saying, 2 of the 3 men in your life that you can never forget are me? Gu Mingming was taken aback and did not understand what Leah meant. Leah pointed at his nose and said, First love and daddy. Gu Mingming burst into laughter and said, Daddy refers to those who are blood-related, not you. Leah was a little disappointed and said, It's rare to win against Elvis. Gu Mingming smiled helplessly and did not reply. Leah kept his smile and hugged Gu Mingming tightly in his arms, not letting her see how sad and regretful he was. Enlightenment shyly giving out her entire heart for the first time. She had longed for an eternity. Everything was shattered by his stupidity. I am not a competent first love, right? Leah asked softly. Gu Mingming did not answer but asked back. Before me, did you have any love experience? Leah shook his head without any hesitation. Gu Mingming asked, "So, I am also your first love, right?" Leah lowered his head and looked into Gu Mingming's eyes, asking, "Do males also have first love?" Gu Mingming smiled. "Of course, everyone has a precious first love. It happens once in a lifetime." Leah smiled and kissed Gu Mingming's little face. "That's great. I finally have something precious to give you. My first love, luckily it's you." Gu Mingming shook her head and said, "Your first love was not that great. You met a playboy like me, who was willful and stubborn. I couldn't give you a complete love, but I didn't let you give up on me either. I even caused you to fall to the point where you had to become a pet beast. Strictly speaking, your first love was trash, the type that would make you wonder how blind you were back then." Chapter 5:15. On the other side, Elvis arrived at the dark dungeon. Males all had night vision, and there was no need for torches or other light sources in the dungeon, so there were no windows here. In the absolute darkness, Elvis and Cole could see each other clearly. Cole's tail was broken, and he looked pathetic and weak. He raised his head to look at Elvis, who was emitting a murderous aura, but he did not show any fear or hatred. He just maintained his usual smile, distant and polite. "Do you want to know where your sons are?" Cole spoke first. Elvis snorted coldly and said, "Not really. You better get rid of them before I find them. That way it might be easier for me to kill you." Cole did not seem surprised and just nodded. "You are indeed a male beast that grew up among the stray beasts. You can be so cold to your own cubs, and not care about life and death." Elvis moved his neck as a warm-up, and then stared coldly at Cole, as though he was ready to attack any time. Cole waved his hands and said, "Don't look at me like that. My tail is broken, and I can't maintain my balance. Don't talk about fighting. Even if you open the door now, I might not be able to escape. I called you here because I have another deal to discuss with you." Elvis said coldly, "Not interested." Cole saw that Elvis was about to turn and leave and sneered, "Not interested in Agu either?" Just as Cole finished his sentence, Elvis's sharp claws had already strangled his neck. His sinister and bloodthirsty eyes emitted a faint blue light, like the stare of the Grim Reaper. It was suffocating and chilling. "I said before, you are not allowed to call him that." Cole could no longer breathe, but his lips maintained a fake smile. He looked back at Elvis's eyes with a hint of provocation. Elvis shook Cole off before he breathed his last. "What do you want to say to me? Hurry up and say it." Cole coughed twice, and then weakly took a few deep breaths. After he had caught his breath, he continued, "You don't care about the life and death of those wolf cubs, but Agu cares a lot. If I return these 4 wolf cubs to you, Agu will definitely be very happy. You don't have to stare at me like that. She has tacitly agreed to address me as Agu." Elvis clenched his teeth, but resisted the urge to tear Cole apart. He did not want to see Gu Mingming suddenly stop talking when she unintentionally mentioned the little wolf pups, then forcefully hold back her emotions and tears, pretending that nothing had happened. Although those 4 fellows kept snatching Gu Mingming away, but he would never do anything that would make Xiaoming sad. Conditions. Elvis did not believe that Cole would be so kind as to give him his life-saving chip just like that. Cole nodded approvingly. "It's impossible to survive after touching your female. Now that I don't have a tail, I've become a crippled beast. Living is better than dying, so I won't beg you to let me go." Elvis laughed coldly. "That's the best." Cole nodded as well, having reached a consensus with Elvis on this point. Then he shook off the dust on his body and said, "If you kill Leah, I will return those 3 wolf pups to you, and even save the unconscious one. I heard Agu call him Qixian, right? What a strange name. It must have been given by Agu." Chapter 5:16. Cole nodded and said, "I want him dead and I want you to kill him personally." Elvis snorted coldly and said, "I refuse." Cole revealed a surprised expression for the first time, and looked at Elvis and asked, "Aren't you jealous that Leah is so good at pleasing Agu? Aren't you worried that he will replace you one day?" Elvis thought about it and said honestly, "Jealous? I have been jealous from the start." Cole continued, Now that I have given you a dignified reason to get rid of him, even if Agu pursues the matter in the future, you can say that you had no choice but to sacrifice Leah for the little wolf cub. Leah is not Agu's partner. He is just a beast pet. There are people more handsome than him in the Snow Fox tribe. Why not find a more obedient beast pet for Agu? But you actually rejected him? Why? Don't tell me it is because you have gone through life and death with Leah, that you can't bear to kill your own brother. If that is the case, I will be disappointed in stray beasts. Elvis looked at Cole expressionlessly and waited for him to finish before saying, "You are very noisy." Cole choked for a moment. He really could not understand Elvis's thinking. Stray beasts had always been concerned about their own pleasure and did not care about the consequences. After the mating mark was washed away, he had fully experienced how happy this feeling of not caring about anything was. If he had known that the so-called stray beasts lived such a carefree life, he would have killed Jillian with his own hands long ago. That way, he would definitely not end up like this. Elvis was born a stray beast, and the blood flowing in his veins should be selfish. But he could tolerate having Leah by Gu Mingming's side? Cole did not understand. He really did not understand. If they were in different positions, he would definitely kill Leah without hesitation. Why? Why did you reject me? Cole's eyes were bloodshot and filled with indignation. Elvis said, "If Leah dies, Xiaoming will be sad. I will not do anything that will make Xiaoming sad." Cole was taken aback and immediately said, "Even if Agu will be sad, it will only be for a short while. She will forget about Leah in no time, and by then you—" Elvis interrupted Cole's words and said, "Even if it's just a blink of an eye, I don't want to upset Xiaoming. If you don't have any other conditions, then there's no need to talk about this deal. Compared to the wolf cubs who will put Xiaoming in danger, Leah who can protect her is much more important to me." Seeing that Cole did not speak anymore, Elvis turned to leave. If it wasn't for the fact that he couldn't kill Cole, why would he waste his breath on him? Elvis had barely taken 2 steps when Cole's voice rang behind him. "What if I tell you that the kidnapping of the little wolves and Agu was all planned by Leah?" Elvis stood still, turned around and looked at Cole coldly without saying a word. Cole continued, "The original plan was to use this kidnapping to get rid of you. Leah would then become Agu's first partner, and I would become Agu's beast pet. This would strengthen the bond between Sauter and the messengers of the beast deity, showing the glory of the messengers tribe again. But your sudden advancement messed up our original plan. So Leah betrayed our agreement at the last minute. Even so, do you still want to keep him?" Chapter 517. Cole looked straight into Elvis's eyes and said, "What I said is the truth." Elvis sneered and said, "If Leah wanted to be the first partner, he would have mated with Xiaoming before winter last year. There's no need to go through so much trouble. And to recreate Sauter's glory? What do you think Sauter is in Lee's eyes?" Elvis didn't want to waste any more time talking to Cole, so he stepped on his chest and leaned forward. With a sharp gaze he said, "I didn't kill you because Xiaoming couldn't bear to part with those little brats. And also because you have a score to settle with Leah, so I left you to him. But I've always had a bad temper, so I hope you won't waste my time like you did today again. Or else, as a senior of stray beasts, I will properly tell you why stray beasts are feared, hated and yet not dared to provoke them." With that, Elvis kicked Cole away and turned to leave. He did not give Cole any chance to say anything else. When he returned to the stone house, Gu Mingming was already asleep. Leah sat outside the stone house, obviously waiting for Elvis. Seeing that he had returned, he shifted to the side to make some space for Elvis. "Did he tell you where the little wolves are?" Leah asked. Elvis shook his head and didn't say a word. Leah smiled helplessly and said, "I guess he won't say either. Looking for you is most likely to sow discord." Elvis nodded and said, "You still want me to go if you know? What a waste of time." Leah shrugged and said helplessly, "Ming wants to know where the little wolves are so badly. Even if there's only a sliver of hope, I still hope that you can pry open his mouth." Elvis glanced sideways at Leah and asked, "Aren't you afraid that I will be cheated by him?" But Leah smiled like a flower and shook his head with his shoulders shaking, saying, "Even if you believe everything he says, you won't kill me. As long as I don't die and can stay by Meng Meng's side, I don't mind paying any price." Elvis raised his brows and said, "How do you know that I definitely won't kill you?" Leah nodded and said with certainty, "Meng Meng likes me a little now. She will definitely be sad if you kill me. Don't you not know how to do things that will make her sad?" Elvis laughed as well. "You are just being pampered and arrogant." Leah swayed his large tail and said, "Thanks for the compliment." Elvis turned around to look at Gu Meng Meng, who was sleeping soundly in the room. She had just turned around, and her little face was facing the direction of the door. Elvis's gaze turned gentle, and he asked softly, "Looking at the situation today, I don't think Cole will tell us the whereabouts of the little wolves. What do you plan to do next?" Lee's gaze was cold as he stared at the moonlight. "An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Back then, he falsely accused me of having an affair with my father's concubine and banished me from the tribe, turning me into a street rat that everyone hated. Today, I will give him the same punishment for the same crime." Elvis looked at Leah asking, "What do you need me to do?" Leah smiled faintly and turned his gaze towards the house. Looking at that light sleeping face, he chuckled. "Protect Meng Meng well. Don't let anyone hurt her in front of us." Elvis nodded and did not reply. Chapter 518. On the second day, something big happened in Sauder. Gu Mingming used the name of the messenger of the beast deity to gather all the elders, nobles and tribesmen of Sauder. She dressed up and stood on the altar, reciting the lyrics of the English version of Little Apple, with a pious face. "Love plant. Sauder is like Odio, father is like Tay, wife is like Tay." With the first breakthrough, Gu Mingming's sense of shame had been pulled down to a very low level. She could recite this amusing passage in a serious manner without breaking out in laughter, and still maintain a damn solemn expression. Gu Mingming learned from the shamans, witch doctors and those tricksters she had seen on television. She could also play the role of a charlatan with great depth. If it was a modern person, it would definitely be fake. But it was enough to fool those superstitious people who had never seen the world in the wild beast world. When Gu Mingming stomped her feet and glared at the crowd with her round and angry eyes, everyone felt a chill down their spine. Their hearts pounded like drums, beating furiously. Of course, they did not know that although part of the reason for their heart pounding was because of Gu Mingming's bluff, the bigger reason was because Elvis was secretly releasing his beast pressure. It was not a large amount, and was released slowly in coordination with Gu Mingming's movements. So the orcs who were fully focused on Gu Mingming did not realize the real reason why they were feeling afraid. "My beast father said that you have been complaining in your hearts about why I abandoned you, right?" Gu Mingming's gaze swept across the elders below the stage. Seeing them lowering their heads guiltily and not daring to look at her, she guessed that her words had hit them on the spot. Guilty conscience. That was how it behaved. Gu Mingming walked forward slowly and spread her arms wide, showing a deity loving the world. She said with a pained tone, "When Sauder was assisting the previous messenger of the beast deity, how dedicated and loyal were you? But all these years, what have you done? The sacred fire being extinguished was a warning, but you did not notice it and did not repent." The elders knelt on the ground. The matter of the sacred fire being extinguished was definitely a serious illness in their hearts. Although it had been extinguished for hundreds of years, it had always been a huge shadow shrouding Sauder. How afraid were they that the new messenger of the beast deity would pursue this matter? But he didn't expect that he still couldn't avoid it. Gu Mingming ignored them and continued. "Mighty Beast Father said that the Snow Fox clan has already forgotten the prophecy of God. They made a fool out of the divine authority, slandered the son of deity, and chased the witch doctor out of the tribe to be humiliated. This is disrespect to God. In your eyes, do you still have the slightest bit of respect for Lord Beast God?" "Lord Messenger, please calm down. Lord Beast God is wise. Everyone in Sauder does not have the slightest bit of disrespect towards the beast deity." With the elders kneeling down, who else dared to stand up? The vixens of Sauter all knelt on the ground and kowtowed to Gu Mingming. Chapter 519. Great Messenger is wise. This was all Cole's idea. He was the one who wanted to use this method to welcome you back to Sauter. One of the elders spoke up, and everyone immediately agreed with him. Gu Mingming gestured for them to stop, then looked at the elder who spoke up and said, Sauter doesn't even have a witch doctor. Welcome me back. How are they going to serve me? The elder wanted to say something, but suddenly did not know what to say. Gu Mingming continued, the authority of the god is at its peak, and the authority of the god is at its peak. You guys want to welcome me back to a tribe like this? The elders were dumbfounded by Gu Mingming's words. Gu Mingming turned around and sat on the chair in the middle of the deity altar. Elvis and Leah stood on her left and right, releasing their aura to the fullest. Instantly, everyone's knees turned to jelly, and they knelt on the ground. Gu Mingming raised her head and said, the original leader of Sauter, Cole, went against the god's will for his own selfish reasons, and framed the successor of the witch doctor Leah. He used his power to suppress the tribe, and forced the tribesmen to betray their conscience, and help the villain do evil. He should be punished for his heinous crimes. However, the son of God Leah had a clear spiritual root and was compassionate. He knelt on the ground and begged the beast deity for 3 days and 3 nights to plead for Cole. The beast deity was moved by his kindness and spared Cole's death sentence, banishing him from the tribe and making him a stray beast forever. On account that all of you were controlled by others and forced by Cole, not of your own free will, the beast deity was lenient and did not pursue the matter further. Are you guys convinced by this judgment? So Cole was the only scapegoat. What else was there to be unconvinced about? The elders took the lead and thanked her profusely. Gu Mingming flung her hands and left. She would leave the rest to Leah, returning to her own little stone house. Gu Mingming laid in Elvis's arms and said, damn it, pretending to be mysterious is really tiring. Elvis felt a little heartache and gently massaged Gu Mingming's shoulders. He said, luckily Lee's name has been cleared, and he is also the son of God that Sauter is most proud of. In the future, he can help you with such matters, and you won't have to make an appearance every now and then. Gu Mingming smiled and shook her head. I really doubt the average intelligence of the Snowfox tribe. Just what I said just now, no matter how you look at it, it is full of loopholes. How could they believe it? Elvis smiled. The words of the strong are the truth. You are the messenger of the beast deity. Of course they would not dare to disobey you. Gu Mingming turned around and laid in Elvis's arms, saying, sometimes, I really feel that the previous messenger of the beast deity might be a multi-level marketer. How did she brainwash people to make the concept of messenger of the beast deity and beast deity so fantastical that people are still afraid of these two titles, even after 1,000 years? No matter how you look at it, I'm just a weakling who doesn't even have the strength to truss a chicken. What are they afraid of? Elvis played with Gu Mingming's hair gently and said, you are not good at fighting and killing, but you have me and Leah. Gu Mingming nodded in realization. I understand now. I'm just an empty shell. They're really afraid of you and Leah. No. Elvis kissed Gu Mingming's forehead and said, they're afraid of your divine authority and the mighty beast deity behind you. Gu Mingming was a little dejected. She lowered her head and said, what bullsh** divine authority? If that divine authority was really so useful, I would have directly saved my son. Why would I need to go through so much trouble? Chapter 520. Leah regaining control of the deity's authority was progressing more smoothly than expected. Out of the original 3 fifth-level beasts in Sauter, 2 were dead and 1 was crippled. Under Elvis's absolute suppression, no one dared to show any signs of dissatisfaction. And with 1,000 years of inheritance, they firmly believed that they were the followers of the messenger of the beast deity. Now that the messenger had descended, she wanted Leah to be in charge. So Leah should be in charge. She said Cole deserved to die, so Cole deserved to die. Gu Mingming's words were the absolute truth in Sauter. They only needed to obey. There was no need to discuss or question. With Elvis's military protection and Gu Mingming's support of the deity's authority, Leah handled the affairs of the tribe like a fish in water. The first thing he did after regaining control was to announce that he would lead the Snow Fox tribe back under the command of the messenger of the beast deity. From then on, there would be no more Sauter tribe, only the followers of the messenger of the beast deity. The messenger was in Saint Nazir, and the Snow Fox tribe was in Saint Nazir. If the messenger went to another tribe, they would also follow her to that tribe. Not loyal to the tribe, only loyal to the messenger. This concept was equivalent to announcing that Saint Nazir had annexed Sauter, but the elders were surprisingly supportive. Perhaps to them, it did not matter if it was Saint Nazir or Sauter, as long as it was the messenger tribe. Even if they changed their names, they would still be the elders under the messenger, and were highly respected. The second thing was to exile Cole. As the saying goes, everyone kicks a wall when it's down. This was probably the situation. Those who used to follow Cole's lead could not be seen anymore. On the day of Cole's exile, only Leah came to send him off. Leah held Cole's favorite food in his hands and passed it to Cole. Times change, it's just the wheel of fortune. You banished me once and I banished you once. This way we're even. Cole took the food from Lee's hands. He was neither agitated nor resentful. He ate it elegantly, and did not look like an exiled person at all. Swallowing the food in his mouth calmly, Cole said, "Aren't you going to kill me to prevent future troubles? Aren't you afraid that I will make a comeback and end up like you today?" Leah smiled faintly. "Afraid? I wasn't even afraid of you when you were high and mighty. Now you're just a crippled beast that's been banished. Yet you want me to be afraid of you?" Cole nodded and said, "You don't have to say such beautiful words. I know you are not killing me, because you want to find the whereabouts of those wolf pups from me. I'm not afraid to tell you directly, those 3 little wolf cubs. I've already asked that snake beast to bring them to the Snake King Valley. Shishuan's antidote is with the 3 wolf cubs. If you want it, ask Agu to look for me at the Snake King Valley. If you're worried, you can accompany her here. But don't forget, that lord in the Snake King Valley isn't a gentleman like me. He only invited Agu. The rest will be treated as trespassers." Lee's face remained calm, and his gaze was calm as he said, "I knew it. Why would the snake tribe not follow their own beast king, and instead come to Sauter to tangle with you?" So it turns out that they had already reached an agreement with the Snake King Valley. Cole nodded, acknowledging Lee's words. After all, that great lord and the great messenger whom Sauter is loyal to have a close relationship. Since their goals are the same, there's naturally no reason for them to not cooperate. Chapter 521. Cole opened his arms wide and put on a "you can do whatever you want" pose. His smile was a little provocative as he lifted his chin and said, "If you kill me, who will bring you to the Snake King Valley? It doesn't matter if those few wolf pups die. You can kill me now. With the son of the messenger of the beast deity accompanying me, I can die in glory." Leah didn't say anything and just gestured for Cole to leave, implying that he was letting Cole leave. Cole shook the beast's skin on his body and smiled at Leah, saying, "You have imitated me for so many years and now it seems like you have some charm. But a fake is still a fake. The next time we meet, it will not be like this." Leah didn't say anything, and just smiled faintly. There was some disdain and indifference in his smile, as well as some nonchalance. Cole didn't say anything else, and just turned to leave. Compared to the time when he chased Leah away, the current Cole was much more dignified. But his hatred and indignation were much stronger than Lee's back then. On what basis? These 3 words almost made Cole's eyes drip blood. The moment he turned around, Cole's expression turned sinister and terrifying. But Leah, who was behind him, still had a calm expression. Glancing disdainfully at the sky, a black figure brought Cole away from the shade of the trees. Leah turned around and walked back to Sauter. Oh no, there was no more Sauter in this world. This was now Saint Nazir's territory. Using Gu Mingming's words, it was called a division. The original elders had a secret room specially for discussing work. Gu Mingming used burnt wood ashes to write the words meeting room on it. Leah used his claws to carve out the 3 words bit by bit until it was hollow. Then, he used beast skin to tie the 2 sides and hung it above the door of the secret room. From then on, this secret room had a sacred name, meeting room. Leah fetched Elvis and Gu Mingming and was about to head to the meeting room to discuss about the wolf pups when he met Sandy and Colin along the way. Both of them looked travel-worn, as though they had just arrived at Sauter and did not have the time to rest before coming to look for him. Gu Mingming was always in a good mood when she saw Sandy. She pulled Sandy's little hand and was about to let out her grievances over the past few days when she saw Colin kneeling down at Gu Mingming's feet with a loud thud. He said with a face full of grief and indignation, "Great messenger, please punish me." Gu Mingming was shocked and wanted to ask what had happened. Sandy wiped her tears and held onto Gu Mingming's hand, sobbing. "Gu Mingming, can you not kill Colin? I beg you. It's all my fault. It's all my fault. If you want to blame someone, blame me. Don't kill Colin, okay?" Gu Mingming looked at Sandy in confusion and then at Colin. She waved her hands and said, "Can anyone tell me what happened first? Are you two possessed?" Colin moved 2 steps forward and said, "It's not Sandy's fault, it's my fault. As the messenger's guard, I only cared about protecting my own female when you were in danger, and did not fulfill my duty as a guard. When everyone was fighting a bloody battle, I selfishly only cared about protecting my own female, and did not fight for you. As a guard, I am that as a member of Saint Nazir, I am, anyway I am guilty." Sandy shook her head and held on to Gu Mingming's hand, saying, "No, you can't blame Colin. I was too afraid at that time, so I grabbed onto him, and did not let him go to join the battle. I insisted on keeping him by my side. It's all my fault, I am a burden to Colin. If you want to punish someone, punish me. Can you spare Colin? I beg you, don't kill him." Aside from the topic, a foolish person should study more. Look, he can't even come up with a proper sentence to apologize. Chapter 522. Gu Mingming smiled as she helped Colin up. She hugged Sandy and patted her back lightly before pushing Sandy back into Colin's arms. "Leave 2 of the strongest males behind to protect every female. The rest of the tribesmen will participate in the frontal assault. Isn't this Lee's battle plan? Colin and Bode are the strongest in your family. It's not wrong for them to stay behind to protect you. Why should I kill Colin?" Colin said in a simple and honest voice, "Because I'm the emissary's protector, the emissary's shield. When the messenger is in danger, I should be the first to stand in front of her. But Gu Mingming patted Colin's shoulder with a smile. "I am indeed the messenger of the beast deity, but everyone does not have the obligation to risk their lives for me. Emotionally, you protected my most important friend. Logically, you were just following the orders of your superior. So, you did not do anything wrong." But Colin could not win against Gu Mingming in an argument. But he knew in his heart that he was in the wrong in this matter. Elvis wrapped his arms around Gu Mingming's waist gently and pulled her into his arms. He looked at Colin with disdain. "Xiaomeng said that she will not punish you. But after this incident, it has been proven that you are not suitable to be the messenger's guard. From now on, you will be stripped of all your rights and responsibilities. Do you have any objections?" Colin lowered his head. "I have no objections." Elvis nodded. He carried Gu Mingming up. "Oriton will take over your position. If there's nothing else, you guys can go back." "Gu Mingming." Sandy stared at Gu Mingming with her teary eyes. She felt very guilty. When Gu Mingming was in danger and trouble, she only cared about the safety of her own males. She clearly knew what Gu Mingming had been through. But when she stood in front of her, she did not even show a single word of concern. She only cared about helping Colin beg for mercy. She was indeed not a good friend. Gu Mingming returned a smile. She signaled to Sandy that it would be fine. But Sandy's eyes were still red from crying. She cried uncontrollably in Colin's arms. Elvis and Leah carried Gu Mingming to the meeting room. Leah repeated Cole's words to Gu Mingming without missing a single word. Elvis remained silent for a moment. Leah, stay here and take care of Xiaomeng. I will go to the Snake King Valley to save the little wolf. Leah shook his head and said, the monster in the Snake King Valley is not at Cole's level. Not to mention that you have just stepped into 5th level. Even someone at the peak of 5th level like Cole would not be able to withstand a single blow from him. You have no chance of winning if you go alone. Let Oriton and Barit stay here to take care of Meng Meng. I'll go with you to the Snake King Valley. Maybe we have a 30% chance of winning. Gu Mingming knocked on the table and said, if I didn't appear, the two of you would have been killed before you even had the chance to see Cole. I don't want you to die for nothing. Elvis frowned and looked at Gu Mingming. Xiaomeng, you promised not to make me worry anymore. Gu Mingming pulled Elvis's hand and said, yeah, so this time I will drag you along with me on this adventure. Leah said, Mingming, don't fool around. Gu Mingming sat in Elvis's arms and turned to look at Leah, saying, if that peerless master in the Snake King Valley is really as unfathomable as you guys said, then no matter where I hide, it's only a matter of time before he finds me. Instead of waiting passively for danger to descend on us, why not take the initiative to attack first and gain the upper hand? Aside from the topic, this Snake King is a rather important person. Yeah, actually I quite like him. But I don't like snakes. If we ignore his attributes, this character is still not bad. Babes who are afraid of snakes, don't worry. He will not always appear in the novel. The Snake King Valley. Yeah, it's probably just a small instance, and you can leave after finishing it. Don't be afraid, don't be afraid. I heard that babes are starting to dislike reading the author's words. Because once the author's words appear, it means that today's update has ended. Hehehe. Yes, that's right, the person saying goodbye is me again. Chapter 523. Leah stared at Gu Mingming quietly for a long time, before finally giving up. He sighed and said, give me 3 days, I will settle everything here and then go with you. Gu Mingming shook her head, and placed her little hand on the back of Lee's hand gently. She said, if I really meet with any mishaps, you have to leave someone outside to save me. Leah clenched his teeth, and could no longer maintain his forced smile. His gaze was like ice shards as he asked word by word. You want to abandon me? Gu Mingming chuckled and caressed Lee's face gently. She said, no, I just want you to guard a place for me to return to. Leave a way out for me. I will be back, I definitely will. Leah held on to Gu Mingming's hand tightly. This was the first time he lost his sense of propriety. He did not care that her wrist was red from his strength and only said, I don't agree. I won't allow you to leave me alone. Elvis held on to Lee's hand and said, calm down, Xiaoming will get hurt. But Leah refused to let go. He glanced sideways at Elvis and said, how can I calm down? Why don't we swap places? I will accompany Xiaoming to the Snake King Valley while you guard here. Let me see how you can calm down. Gu Mingming patted Elvis's chest and signaled him not to quarrel with Leah. Then, she jumped down from Elvis's arms and took the initiative to hug Leah. She pressed the side of her face against Lee's chest. One of her hands was held tightly by Leah, while the other was wrapped around Lee's waist. Gu Mingming said softly, Huda and his brothers are my flesh and blood. I can't ignore them no matter what. Now that the Snake King is obviously targeting me, even if I don't go, he will not let me off. Leah, I promise you, no matter what, I will try my best to protect myself, and will not leave you alone. Don't forget, I am the messenger of the beast deity, the biological daughter of the beast deity. The mighty beast deity will definitely protect me. I won't stop you if you want to save the little wolves, but you must bring me along. Leah hugged Gu Mingming tightly, and did not take a single step back. Gu Mingming said, Saint Nazir and Sauter just went through a huge battle. Now the people's morale is low and both sides are in a state of panic. Other than you, no one can control this situation. I promise you, I will definitely come back in 3 months. Just wait for me for 3 months, okay? Leah shook his head and furrowed his brows. He used a voice that could tear apart the depths of one's soul, to play out a bone-piercing uneasiness. Without you, I can't even live for a moment. 3 months. How could he possibly wait? So what if Saint Nazir was destroyed? So what if Sauter was gone? Besides you, there's nothing I can't bear to part with. Elvis stood behind Gu Mingming and said slowly, Xiao Ming this time. I support Leah. Chapter 524. Gu Mingming had originally thought that since she did not mate with Leah, she should not involve Leah in such a dangerous situation. If anything happened to her in the Snake King Valley, then Leah could start a new life after grieving for a period of time. But looking at how the two of them were so compatible, she was afraid that if she did not bring Leah along, not to mention the Snake King Valley, she would not even be able to leave this meeting room. Sighing helplessly, Gu Mingming finally nodded and said, All right, let's go together. Leah then heaved a sigh of relief and bit Gu Mingming's lips as a punishment, which eventually turned into a deep kiss. Only when she was almost suffocating did Leah release her reluctantly. Wiping away the saliva on her lips, Lee's long and affectionate eyes held an indescribable gentleness. Don't ever ask me to stay behind again, understand? Gu Mingming nodded and did not struggle anymore. As Gu Mingming was too worried about the children, she could not wait for 3 more days. So the next morning, Gu Mingming handed Qi Xian over to Sandy to take care of. Leah instructed Dylan to check on Qixuan's condition at Sandy's house every day and try his best to stabilize the poison. Then, the 3 of them left the tribe and headed towards the Snake King Valley, according to the markings left behind by the Eagle Owl tribe. Elvis and Leah took turns to piggyback Gu Mingming as they hurried. Gu Mingming knew that if she asked herself to walk, it would only slow down the overall speed. So although her heart ached, she remained silent and only forced Elvis and Leah to rest for 1 night every 3 days. On the 10th day, they arrived at the entrance of a valley. Beside the entrance, leaning against the tree trunk, waiting for them was Ian. Cole never came out after he entered this place. We tried to follow him in, but we couldn't find any trace of him, so the entrance should be nearby. Ian summarized briefly. Gu Mingming nodded and said, All right, it's been hard on you. Go back and rest. We will settle the rest ourselves. Ian raised his brows and his sickly face revealed some displeasure. Settle ourselves? Ha! I'm afraid that before you can even find the entrance, you'll be eaten by the snake beasts everywhere. Gu Mingming was taken aback and immediately lowered her head to take a closer look. Indeed, she found traces of a snake in the bushes. She was terrified and instinctively hid in Elvis's arms. Ian said, If it wasn't for you, Elvis, a 5th-level beast, could barely explore this place. Now, even if the 2 of them were tied together, they wouldn't be able to protect you from so many snake beasts. You're still thinking of doing what you want. TSK a burden. Gu Mingming was furious, but she could not retort. He could only glare and say, Then tell me, what should we do? Ian shook his wings and said, I'll bring you along to show off and fly. Gu Mingming's eyes lit up. She patted Ian's shoulder and said, Not bad, big brother. Anyone with wings is an angel. Ian coldly snorted, then opened his chest and said, Hold on tight. Otherwise I won't be responsible if you fall to your death. You're tuning in to the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.